Dental admission test -54 questions. Question 1. Organisms that obtain their energy from light can be termed A. Autotrophic, B. Holotrophic, C. Chemotrophic, D. Heterotrophic, E. Heliotropic. Correct answer is A. Autotrophic. Question 2. Fermentation. A. Produces pyruvic acid as an end product. B. Yields less energy per mole of glucose than aerobic respiration. C. Occurs only in the presence of oxygen. D. Prevents glycolysis from occurring. E. Converts ethanol to glucose. Correct answer is B. Yields less energy per mole of glucose than aerobic respiration. Question 3. In respiration, oxygen A. Combines with lactic acid to form pyruvic acid. B. Acts as a cofactor for glycolytic enzymes. C. Yields energy in the form of ATP as it is passed down the respiratory chain. D. Acts as an acceptor for electrons and protons, forming water. E. Combines directly with carbon, forming carbon dioxide. Correct answer is D. Acts as an acceptor for electrons and protons, forming water. Question 4. An enzyme is added to an aqueous solution of ATP, DNA, albumin, fat and glycogen. The reaction mixture is incubated for 10 minutes. If an analysis of the mixture reveals the presence of all of the above compounds plus glucose, it can be concluded that the enzyme hydrolyzed some of the A. Albumin, B. Fat, C. Glycogen, D. ATP, E. DNA. Correct answer is C. Glycogen. Question 5. What cellular organelles would you expect to be absent from fungi? A. Mitochondria, B. Lysosomes, C. Ribosomes, D. Golgi bodies, E. Chloroplasts. Correct answer is E. Chloroplasts. Question 6. Intracellular organelles that participate in metabolic oxidations involving H2O2 are called A. Centrioles, B. Endoplasmic granules, C. Peroxisomes, D. Lysosomes, E. Macrobodies. Correct answer is C. Peroxisomes. Question 7. The two daughter cells formed by mitosis and cytokinesis have A. Half the number of chromosomes present in the parent cell. B. Half the number of the chromosomes present in the parent cell if this parent cell is found in the testicular or ovarian tissue. C. The same number of chromosomes present in the parent cell. D. Twice the number of chromosomes present in the parent cell. E. A variable number of chromosomes so that an exact prediction cannot be made. Correct answer is C. The same number of chromosomes present in the parent cell. Question 8. Starch, cellulose and glycogen are all A. Proteins, B. Linked internally by hydrogen bonds, C. Water-soluble, D. Polymers of glucose, E. Nucleic acids. Correct answer is D. Polymers of glucose. Question 9. Each of the following cell organelles have a membranous structure except one. Which one is the exception? A. Golgi complex, B. Centrioles, C. Mitochondria, D. Lysosomes, E. Endoplasmic reticulum. Correct answer is B. Centrioles. Question 10. In anaerobic glycolysis in muscle cells, 1 mole of glucose is oxidized to A. 6 moles of carbon dioxide, B. 2 moles of aceticide, C. 2 moles of lactic acid, D. 2 moles of acetyl-CoA, E. 2 moles of carbon dioxide and 6 moles of water. Correct answer is C. 2 moles of lactic acid. Question 11. The movement of water-soluble molecules through cell membranes, from higher to lower concentrations, by attachment to a carrier protein, describes A. Diffusions, B. Osmosis, C. Panocytosis, D. Active transport, E. Facilitated diffusion. Correct answer is E. Facilitated diffusion. Question 12. As far as their products are concerned, all biosynthetic reactions in living cells result in A. A more ordered state, therefore a decrease in entropy. B. A more ordered state, therefore an increase in entropy. C. Energy released in the form of ATP. D. Energy made available for motion. E. A more ordered state with no entropy change. Correct answer is A. A more ordered state, therefore a decrease in entropy. Question 13. Which is the smallest organelle in the cell? A. Golgi body. B. Nucleus. C. Mitochondrion. D. Ribosome. E. Chloroplast. Correct answer is D. Ribosome. Question 14. For a given diameter of an axon, one factor which increases the velocity of a nerve impulse is A. The length of the axon. B. The ploidy of the nucleus. C. The density of mitochondria along the axon. D. Maximal stimulation of the neuron. E. The presence of a myelin sheath. Correct answer is E. The presence of a myelin sheath. Question 15. Which chiefly stimulates action of the respiratory center? A. Carbon dioxide in the blood. B. Relaxin. C. Lack of oxygen in the blood. D. Inflation of the alveolus. E. Vagus nerve. Correct answer is A. Carbon dioxide in the blood. Question 16. The term motor unit refers to A. An entire muscle. B. A single muscle fiber. C. All the muscle fibers innervated by one nerve fiber. D. All the motor nerves in one muscle. E. All the sliding filaments of actin and myosin in one muscle fiber. Correct answer is C. All the muscle fibers innervated by one nerve fiber. Question 17. The human heartbeat is initiated within the A. Sinus venosus. B. Henson's node. C. Conus arteriosus. D. Arterioventricular node. E. Sinoatrial node. Correct answer is E. Sinoatrial node. Question 18. In the nephron of the kidney, filtration occurs between A. Bowman's capsule and Henle's loop. B. The glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. C. The proximal tubule and Henle's loop. D. Henle's loop and the vasa recta. E. The peritubular network and the convoluted tubules. Correct answer is B. The glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. Question 19. The addition of potassium iodide as nutritional supplement to common table salt would most directly affect the function of which of these glands? A. Thyroid. B. Sweat glands. C. Adrenal cortex. D. Kidneys. E. Parathyroid. Correct answer is A. Thyroid. Question 20. Each of the following is synthesized by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland of vertebrates except one. Which one is the exception? A. Thyrotropic hormone. B. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. C. Follicle-stimulating hormone. D. Growth hormone. E. Oxytocin. Correct answer is E. Oxytocin. Question 21. Clotting of human blood. A. Requires that hemoglobin be present. B. Results from fibrin joining globulin. C. Is a result of platelets releasing fibrinogen. D. Depends on the formation of fibrin from fibrinogen. E. Is accelerated when Ca2+ is removed. Correct answer is D. depends on the formation of fibrin from fibrination. Question 22. At some stage of development, all chordates have a pharynx, a vertebral column, and a notochord. b. Pharyngeal pouches, a notochord, and a dorsal tubular nerve cord. c. Pharyngeal pouches, a notochord, and a ventral nerve cord. d. Pharyngeal pouches, vertebral column, and a dorsal tubular nerve cord. e. A pharynx and an ectodermally derived, solid nerve cord. Correct answer is B. Pharyngeal pouches, a notochord, and a dorsal tubular nerve cord. Question 23. Organisms that have the characteristics of radial symmetry, water vascular system, a spiny skin, and are found exclusively in a marine habitat would be in which phylum? A. Annelida. B. Chordata. C. Cnidaria. D. Porifera. E. Echinodermata. Correct answer is E. Echinodermata. Question 24. Of the following, which group of invertebrates is apparently most closely related to primitive vertebrates? A. Annelida. B. Mollusca. C. Cnidaria. D. Arthropoda. E. Echinodermata. Correct answer is E. Echinodermata. Question 25. Under the five-kingdom classification, members of the kingdom Monera are generally separated from the members of all the other kingdoms by having A. Heterotrophic nutrition versus autotrophic nutrition. B. Unicellular organization versus multicellular organization. C. Microscopic size versus macroscopic size. D. Prokaryotic cells versus eukaryotic cells. E. Parasite-host relationship versus predator-prey relationship. Correct answer is D. Prokaryotic cells versus eukaryotic cells. Question 26. A segment of a DNA with the sequence GGC8TTAGG would be transcribed into a messenger RNA segment with the sequence A. CCGUAAUCC. B. AATGCCGTT. C. CCGTAATCC. D. AAUGCCGUU. E. CCGTUUTGG. Correct answer is A. CCGUAAUCC. Question 27. Assuming no linkage, how many different kinds of gametes can be produced by an organism with the genotype ABBCC? A. 32. B. 16. C. 8. D. 6. E. 4. Correct answer is E. 4. Question 28. Which statement concerning alleles is true for diploid organisms? 1. At most only 2 alleles occur at a given locus in an organism's genome. 2. Alleles occupy an identical locus in homologous chromosomes. 3. Alleles of a given gene usually occur on non-homologous chromosomes. 4. A single chromosome usually carries 2 alleles of each gene. A. 4. B. 1 and 2. C. 3. D. 1, 2 and 4. E. 3 and 4. Correct answer is B. 1 and 2. Question 29. In watermelons, the unlinked genes for green color, G, and for short length, S, are dominant over alleles for striped color, G, and long length, S. Predict the phenotypes and the ratios for the cross GGSS multiply GGSS. A. All green short. B. 1 to 1. Green short, striped long, striped short. C. All striped long. D. 1 1 1 1. Green short, striped short, green long, striped long. E. 1 1. Green short, striped long. Correct answer is D. 1 1 1 1. Green short, striped short, green long, striped long. Question 30. Sexual and asexual reproduction usually differ in A. The ability of the new offspring to reproduce. B. The rate at which mutations occur. C. The amount of genotypic variation between parent and offspring. D. The viability of offspring. E. Whether or not natural selection can occur. Correct answer is C. The amount of genotypic variation between parent and offspring. Question 31. In human beings, color blindness is controlled by an X-linked recessive allele. In a cross involving this X-linked trait, the male parent has normal color vision, but the female parent is a carrier. What are the chances, in percent, that a male offspring will inherit color blindness? A. 10. B. 25. C. 50. D. 75. E. 100. Correct answer is C. 50. Question 32. Consider a pair of homologous human chromosomes. In this pair one would expect A. Them to be genetically identical. B. One chromosome to carry dominant alleles and the other recessive alleles. C. One chromosome to have been inherited from the mother and the other from the father. D. The two chromosomes to synapse during mitotic prophase. E. Them to have different shapes. Correct answer is C. One chromosome to have been inherited from the mother and the other from the father. Question 33. Embryonic induction is a process in which A. Embryonic tissues influence adjacent tissues to differentiate. B. An unfertilized egg is induced to develop. C. Genes are transferred from one developing tissue to another. D. Resting potentials are induced in neurons of embryos. E. The maternal parent induces expression of recessive genes in embryos. Correct answer is A. Embryonic tissues influence adjacent tissues to differentiate. Question 34. Which statement is true of the archenteron? A. The cavity of the archenteron is called the blastocoel. B. The cavity of the archenteron represents the beginning of the primitive gut. C. The archenteron is formed during blastula formation. D. The cavity of the archenteron represents the first cavity of the developing heart. E. The archenteron is formed by a closing of the neural tube. Correct answer is B. The cavity of the archenteron represents the beginning of the primitive gut. Question 35. Of the germ layers comprising the early human embryo, which on a correct answer is forms most of the central nervous system? A. Ectoderm. B. Mesoderm. C. Endoderm. D. Notochord. E. Dermis. Correct answer is A. Ectoderm. Question 36. Of the following, the rate and type of cleavage occurring after fertilization would be most affected by the A. Amount and distribution of yolk. B. Number of chromosomes. C. Thickness of the cell membrane. D. Temperature. E. Thickness of the zona pellucida. Correct answer is A. Amount and distribution of yolk. Question 37. The long-term natural process by which a pond eventually becomes a terrestrial community is referred to as A. Environmental disruption. B. Habitat development. C. Organic evolution. D. Ecological succession. E. Desertification. Correct answer is D. Ecological succession. Question 38. The initial step in the speciation process often involves A. Inbreeding within the species. B. Geographical separation of populations. C. Intraspecific random mating. D. The inheritance of acquired characteristics. E. A Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Correct answer is B. Geographical separation of populations. Question 39. A complex behavioral response to a specific cue or releaser, which is exhibited by all members of the species as a stereotyped response to the same stimulus, is known as A. Conditioned response. B. Fixed action pattern. C. Reflex. D. Kinesis. E. Taxis. Correct answer is B. Geographical separation of populations. Question 40. A 49-gram sample of sulfuric acid, H2SO4, 98 grams moles minus 1, contains A. 1 mole of S atoms, B. 16.0 grams of oxygen, C. 2.0 grams of hydrogen, D. 2 moles of oxygen atoms, E. 1 mole of molecules. Correct answer is D. 2 moles of oxygen atoms. Question 41. Each of the following changes the frequency of alleles in a population except one. Which one is the exception? A. Mutation. B. Natural selection. C. Immigration. D. Random interbreeding. E. Genetic drift. Correct answer is D. Random interbreeding. Question 42. If 1 mole of nitrogen and 1 mole of hydrogen are mixed and allowed to react according to the equation nitrogen plus 3 hydrogen equals 2 ammonia, what is the maximum number of moles of ammonia that could be produced? A. 2/3. B. 3/2. C. 2/1. D. 1/2. E. 1/1. Correct answer is A. 2/3. Question 43. A flask weighs 95 grams when empty. When filled with 200 milliliters of a certain liquid, the weight is 328 grams. What volume, in milliliters, would 1000 grams of the liquid occupy? Select one of the following answers. Correct answer is B. Question 44. If 3 grams of a nitrogen-oxygen compound is found to contain 2.22 grams of oxygen, what is the percentage of nitrogen in the compound? Select one of the following answers. The answer is D. Question 45. A 10.0-liter sample of oxygen at 100 degrees Celsius and 1 atmosphere is cooled to 27 degrees Celsius and expanded until the pressure is 0.5 atmospheres. Find the final volume of the oxygen. Select one of the following answers. Correct answer is D. Question 46. When the volume of a gas is decreased at constant temperature, the pressure increases because the molecules A. Move faster. B. Move slower. C. Become heavier. D. Become lighter. E. Strike a unit area of the container more often. Correct answer is E. Strike a unit area of the container more often. Question 47. Water has a higher boiling point than compounds of a similar molecular weight. Which best explains this phenomenon? A. Extensive hydrogen bonding exists between water molecules. B. One of the natural isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium, is present in sufficient quantities to significantly raise the boiling point. C. Water is a polar covalent compound. D. Van der Waals forces exist between individual water molecules. E. Water is largely dissociated, leading to large electrostatic forces between individual water molecules. Correct answer is A. Extensive hydrogen bonding exists between water molecules. Question 48. A substance is non-conducting as a solid and melts at 750 degrees Celsius. The melt conducts electricity. The solid is observed to be soluble in water. This substance would be best classified as A. Molecular. B. Ionic. C. Macromolecular. D. Metallic. E. Polymeric. Correct answer is B. Ionic. Question 49. How many grams of No. 40 grams moles minus 1 are there in 250 milliliters of 0.4 ml solution? A. 0.1. B. 0.4. C. 4. D. 10. E. 40. Correct answer is C. 4. Question 50. Which will be the final volume when 400 milliliters of 0.6 m hydrochloric acid is diluted to 0.5 m hydrochloric acid? Select one of the following answers. Correct answer is C. Question 51. During a titration it was determined that 30 milliliters of a 0.100 moles cerium-4 plus solution was required to react completely with 20.00 milliliters of a 0.150 moles iron-2 plus solution. Which reaction occurred? Select one of the following answers. Question 52. If 25 milliliters of 0.5 moles sodium hydroxide neutralizes 35 milliliters of aminoprotic acid, which is the molarity of the acid? Select one of the following answers. Question 53. In which reaction is water considered to be acting as an acid? Select one of the following answers. 54. At constant temperature when the following reactions involving gases are at equilibrium, which reaction shifts to the right if the pressure is increased? Select one of the following answers. Correct answer is A.